So I just thought I'd do a quick review of the G27q-30. I haven't seen many reviews of this monitor, so it was a bit of a punt when I spotted it in the Black Friday sales. I actually bought it yesterday, so before Black Friday. I had a £50 Amazon voucher burning a hole in my pocket as well. So when I saw it for about £180 on Amazon, I snapped it up. There isn't another monitor at this price point with this level of brightness is 350 CDM squared, contrast is 1001. It's a QHD panel, so 2560 by 1440 pixels. That's double the number of pixels as a full HD screen. I want it for working with documents and code, so I'm going to be running it next to my U3219Q. In obviously, as you can see here in portrait mode, it replaces an older Dell 24-inch full HD display, and yeah, just those 2 or 3 extra inches make a huge difference in terms of the amount of real estate you've got there, plus the higher resolution. It's a great upgrade as far as I'm concerned for the money. I did a little bit of calibration of the colors when I set it up, but it's got an sRGB mode that you can just flick on that's pre-calibrated. The color gamut is 123% sRGB, 90% DCI-P3. It's really good. I'm really impressed with it. It didn't take me long to set this up, and yeah, it's performing really well. So it's smart. It's got proper buttons, which is a nice touch. Literally,
It was a bit of a trend for a while to have touch sensitive buttons, and they just don't work that well all the time.
it would have been nicer to have them maybe underneath or on the back. But I can live with it. It's easy. It's a good looking monitor. 3 of the bezels are really nice and small. You've got the bigger bezel on one side, and the way that I'm using it, it's not really going to get in the way. It's got a semi sort of matte finish to the screen, so it doesn't have too much glare when there's internal lights, and the viewing angles are really good. I'm really impressed with the viewing angles so far. So a quick summary of the specs. It's a 27-inch VA panel, 16 by 9. It's QHD or 2560 by 1440, so double the number of pixels as full HD. Viewing angles are apparently 178 degrees, but having it in vertical orientation, I can see it in most places quite easily. So I'm quite impressed with that. Up to 165 hertz refresh rate. It's got easy sync, so you can just set that refresh rate to be dynamic if your system supports it. Good contrast ratio of 1000:1, brightness of 350 candles per meter squared. Good color gamut performance, so 123% of sRGB, 90% DCI-P3. And it's also HDR compliant as well. And I'm, to be honest, really impressed with the color performance. I did a little bit of calibration when I first set it up. Didn't take long, and it's really good. I mentioned at the beginning that my Dell U3219Q, I've never been able to get the colors quite in the sweet spot that I wanted them. This does it flawlessly. Yeah, all around, really impressed with it. Not used it for gaming, for video. I mean, I was just streaming some YouTube stuff here, but I watched a movie on it earlier. But documents, codes, websites, everything looks really good. I'm running off a MacBook M1, and I'm using a Dell docking station that's using software graphics off the MacBook to drive the external display. But the color performance is awesome. At this price point, I don't think you will get a better screen. It's a good looking screen as well. You've got narrow borders on 3 sides, proper buttons to touch rather than some stupid touchscreen buttons, which were all the craze for a little while and quite frustrating. And a good monitor stand as well. I'll show you that in a bit more detail. I'll flick it around in a second. So this is the VA panel. There's a G27q-30, which is IPS. It's claimed to be brighter, same contrast ratio. The color performance is not as good. It's 99% sRGB, whereas this is over 120%. And it's that version of the screen is targeted specifically for gamers. But if you do a bit of gaming and desktop work as well, I think you probably won't be too disappointed with this screen. For my purposes, it's an absolute bargain, and there isn't anything else, I think, of this quality at this price point on the market. So yeah, excuse the cables. It's but yeah, it's a good looking stand actually, and it's pretty sturdy too. It comes with thumb screws, so you can easily mount it without having to fiddle around holding the monitor, the stand, the screw, and a screwdriver. It doesn't rotate. If you want it at a different orientation, you have to take the screws off, flick it round, and remount it. But the thumb screws make that quite easy to do. But it's a sturdy stand. It's got height adjust. It tilts, and it's well made. It feels like a quality bit of kit. In terms of connectivity, there's one HDMI. There's two HDMI, one display port. There's also a sound output on there, but that's it. You don't get any USB ports along with it. That's the only gripe, I think, that there's no USB ports, because my Dell that it replaces, the 24-inch Dell, had quite a few, about 4 or 5 USB ports. So I'm going to have to find it leaves a bit of a gap in that respect that I'm going to have to find a solution for. But yeah, it's really nice.